everybody. This is Peace with Celebrity Upscale Desires. And, guys, I am so excited today. Y'all understand. I grew up loving this lady here. Had one of my favorite songs out there on the block, Walk On By. I mean, I don't know if y'all hip to this or not, but we got some royalty in the house right now. You know, a legend, you know, before her time on the line right now. And, you know, in the midst of being loyal and true followers of our favorite celebrities locally and nationally, there are still some questions that are always brewing in the back of our minds. Questions that normal interviews and media coverage may not tell you unless it's a scandal or somebody sold something to get the juice in that person. Well, Nakima Lee solved the problem. She created a niche, guys. She created Upscale Desires and decided to go ahead and out there and ask these celebrities face-to-face, over the phone, however way we can get it, the low-down and flirty truth about what is their most intimate, sexual, and most evocative upscale desires. And guys, right now, I just want y'all to just get ready to hear Sybil, you know, in a way that you've never imagined her. And she don't sit here and educate us, guys, on what it is that makes Sybil, you know, sexually aroused. You ready to give us some flirty truths?
Yes, yes, yes.
Well, welcome, Miss Sybil. I'm excited, like I said before. And so I'm going to go ahead and get this party started, and I'm gonna start off real nice and slow. You know, I'm going to take it easy with you first, and then we're going to get a little bit more deep, okay?
All right, now. I'll work with that.
All right. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Well, the first question I have for you is, what is your favorite and unique way to set the tone or mode for a night of intimacy?
Wow. You know, it's funny because one of the things is that it really depends on who the partner is, who the other player is, because it varies. You know, everybody comes with their own little stuff and that little thing that makes you just kind of, that chemistry, that connection, because it can be the words that they say, it can be the way that they touch you, it can be the way they smell, it can be the way that they look at you. It varies depending. So the mood can be set depending on who the other player is. One of the things is that I want someone who understands and can tap in to what it is I need at that moment. And so that may vary, and that may be dependent on, you know, how well we gel, how well we have kind of, our minds have kind of been in sync. And that's the thing. Another thing is that, first off, one thing I won't sacrifice or compromise is someone who can stimulate my mind. If you can stimulate my mind, then, you know, you can get your foot in the door. Outside of that, because, see, I've tried those cute, look good, but they don't have any conversation for you. Doesn't work. Doesn't work.
Right.
They can't roll with me like that. So
to
set the mood right, you got to be right. You got to have your stuff, your game tight. Period.
Exactly. I agree. Girl, you about to be preaching on here. I don't know if they're ready, Sybil. I don't know if they're ready for you to be schooling them.
They better get ready.
I know that's right. Well, what would be something new that you'd be willing to try sexually just once? Just once. That one thing.
That one thing. You know what? The thing is that I'm a Gemini, and so I'm spontaneous, and I like variety. So the thing is, I don't know. There are new things that come up all the time. So I don't know if there's what it is right now. I don't have anything right now because the things that I've wanted that have been of interest to me, I think I've kind of engaged in, you know, and you know, participated in for me, you know. To me, they may not be that risk. To others, it may not be that risque. But to me, you know, it's just like, look, other people may not do what I do. But my thing is, I'm open and I'm receptive, you know, to variety, because I think it's kind of what makes relationships kind of spicy. You have to keep it. You've got to keep it new. You've got to keep it spicy. You've got to keep it fresh. And so I'm not. It may not even be written yet. So whatever.
Oh wow.
No, it may not even be written yet. So
oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Well, being that you're so adventurous, you know, have you ever had a three-way or what one would call a menage a trois? And if you have, Sybil, was it boy, boy, girl or girl, girl, boy? Give us all the juicy details.
None of the above. I'm saying none of the above. That is not my thing. You know, now that is not my thing. Because I'm too selfish. I'm too selfish, for real, straight up. And I like variety in other ways. That ain't the way. Because I am selfish and I'm stingy. I like, you know, because I know what to do with what I got when it's there in front of me. And so,
I know that's right. Me too.
So my thing is I don't need another another party. I may need some other parts, but I don't need other parties, okay?
I know that's right. I know that's right. Hey, I'm going to high five you on that one. Virtual high five on that one.
Okay.
Well, look. Well, how important is oral sex for you? You know, giving and receiving, like on a scale of 1 to 10. You know, feel free to go over 10 if you like. But how important is it for you?
Well, let me say this. I want it done, and I want it done right. So don't come here and act like you're a lap dog. I know that message is not going to work. You know, bottom line, you need to know how to. That needs to be something that you know how to do, because as you get older, gentlemen, your parts they don't work as well as they used to. So you need to have some other tricks. Okay. And so, you know, and I'm going to tell you something, that's something that, you know, some of the, like my brothers and I have brothers and I have best friends, and they're like, look, you know, I'm getting older, and your parts don't quite work, so you got to figure out how to make other parts work so that you can be sexually please your partner, please your mate. And
I know that's right.
You know, I mean, oral sex is very important. I mean, it's very important, and not important that it needs to be good too, though. You need to know what you're doing, and don't be afraid if somebody says, no, well, not, stay there a little bit. Like, I mean, I'm not being funny. You have to teach some of them. You know, you may have to teach some of them, but the real talk, you may have to. But you know, it is what it is.
It sounds like you're a sexual mentor there, like you really, you know, hey, educate these guys, so let them know.
Well, you know what it is? It's not even about so much about sexuality, but sensuality. If you are a sensual person, a sensual being, you know, the thing is they need to understand that, you know, the body. See, some people, you know, it's funny because there's a song, I think it was it said battery operated boyfriends. I don't like them. I like having a man who gets it. You know what I'm saying? I don't necessarily want batteries to be get me all excited. I'm sorry. Something with battery. I don't need the buzzing, okay? And I don't need the music or the rhythm, you know. But what I'm saying is that men need to tune in. They need to identify. They need to understand what it is they need to do to charge you, get you charged. Okay?
I know that's right.
And that's one of the things they need to know how to do.
Well, being that you said that kind of brings me segue me to my next question, because I was going to ask you, you know, what kind of toys, you know, sexual toys you got on your nightstand, or which ones are you about to purchase, or you know, got on the, you know, in the shopper's cart online, you know, what kind of toys should we be playing with?
Let me just say, let me say this. I believe that people need to have access to as many toys and variety as they possibly can. However, you know what the wonderful thing is that if ever I've been in a position where I felt that I needed to be have intimacy, I've always had a go-to, and I'm gonna leave it there.
I know that's right. I
always had to go to because I'm triggered. My triggers are very physical. And so I need, you know, and that's real talk. It's like, I mean, like that those lips that look right, that arm that just looks nice and muscular, and that big old strong strapping. Yeah, that is a trigger for me. And so I'm sorry, plastic and batteries.
You want the real deal, huh?
Real deal. Yes.
I agree. Well, what's the craziest place or the most strangest place that you ever did it, that you ever had sex? I want to know.
Oh gosh. Well, and it was funny because I was recording actually, and I hadn't seen my honey in a while. I've been out of the country.
Aww.
And so needless to say, but I had to go to the studio, and so he met me at the studio. So we just kind of tipped off into the bathroom at the studio. And when we got back in, the engineer was like, he said, I started to put the record button on. He said, that sounded interesting. I thought,
oh, my gosh!
He didn't hear anything, but he knew we were gone a little bit too long. Let me just say that. And so that was interesting because it was spontaneous. We didn't plan on it, you know, but it was just like the heat of the moment. So that was kind of fun. That was fun.
That's always fun.
That's fun because it was like, and I mean, the thing is that I was in where I create, and it was just, it was awesome because it was spontaneous, it was fun, and I think that's what it is. Look, I've been on stairs. It's like couldn't make it up the stairs. Okay, it's like the minute food came in the house. You know, so really, it could be a couple of places. You know, there's a couple of places.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, what's your favorite position? Like, what's the position of all positions that no matter who it is, if they don't get you in this position, then you know you're not gonna be fully satisfied.
Oh gosh. Well,
I know.
Oh gosh. Let me. there too, it depends. It really depends on the anatomy.
Right.
It really, really depends. But I have better control. Let me just say this. I have better control on top.
Wow.
I have better control on top. And so for the most part, let me just say I have issues of control anyway, so I can control it from that angle. Let me just go there.
Okay.
However it's formed. Okay, so yeah. And
all right.
If it doesn't happen that way, it ain't going to happen again. Let me just go there.
Oh
okay.
Wow! Oh wow! Well, do you prefer like rough sex, traditional sex? I mean, like you like if a guy to spank you or pull your hair. I mean, you know.
I don't do spanking. No, we are not. This is not a throwback to slavery, and I'm not. You ain't gonna be beating on me. No. You know. I'll call you Big Pop and all that stuff, but I'm not. You ain't spanking me. You know, that's not gonna happen. No, but I think the thing is, honestly, I think that the thing is that it depends. You have these, you vary. It varies. It really does vary.
Right.
Well, one thing I don't like saying, don't pound on me. And I
know that's
like,
right.
That pounding is crazy. And these jokers that think that giving it to you hard, that's crazy. You still want. It still needs to be. There still needs to be some sensuality and some real fluidity between the two bodies. And I'm sorry,
right.
One is pounding, the other one is just the receiver. That is not cute. That doesn't work.
Right.
And I don't know how guys can get off on that. So, most guys I know, even most guys that I know, because I have two male best friends, one of the things is that they want to be able to, give it to you, but they don't want, when you want it to, they're like turned off, they're like, what the heck, So
right.
I think most men, they say they like it a certain way, but in reality, they pretty much want it the way we want it.
Right. Well, I wonder, because a lot of these guys, they learn their first little bit about sex from watching porn. How important is porn, for you and your relationships and your intimacy? And if it is important to you, what did you learn from it, or did it teach anything, Sybil?
You know what? I'm not into pornography like that. I mean, wherever floats a person's boat, that's on them. One of the things for me, I can get off watching a scene where where a guy takes his woman's foot and rubs. That's sensual. I'm more into sensuality and not the hardcore straight up. Bang them in the tail, bang them in the front, bang them. Upside the hood. I'm like, that is not my thing. That is never. That is just not, because it's like it's so random. That's too random for me. And,
right.
So the thing for me is that when I see a man that takes the woman's face on a movie, a love story, a movie,
right.
and I'm like, that's hot. That is hot to me. Or
right.
when I see relationship movies, that stuff can be a turn because it's a trigger for conversation, and then conversation a lot of times comes other stuff. And so my thing is this: it's like porn. So pornography is and then when people rely on that too much, what
right.
happens is it disconnects them from the actual physical connection between an actual being. And,
right.
It's like a brother in jail. That'd be fun. He's so busy beating his stuff, in jail maybe. Sometimes he's
right.
getting served up. Who knows? But one of the things, and this is one of my good friends who had been locked up years ago.
Right.
That I grew up with, and he's like, it messes you up a little bit when you come out into the real world because you're so busy looking at these magazines to get your stuff off. When you come out. When you come out and you with a real woman who when you're with her and she goes to take a shower, puts a plastic cap on her head, she's not quite as cute. And it was so funny. I had these conversations with him about, a good friend of mine, and he was saying it was a turnoff because what he had been getting off to was the image in the magazine.
Right.
And so he wasn't used to a sister who had pretty hair, but she wanted to stay pretty, so she would tie it up and get in the shower or put a rag on her head at night.
Right.
So he couldn't be intimate with his girl because she did that.
Right.
And I thought that was crazy. So I'm saying the thing is that people buy into these false images of what's sexual and what's sensual and what's going to be arousal, cause an arousal to them. When in actuality, they need to honestly tap in. They need to make contact with the human form, properly in a better way, and then they'll realize, they'll get it, what they need to do.
Well, that's the beautiful thing about, about Upscale Desires. Nakima Lee was a genius to, create this outlet for, everybody to be educated on, the enlightenment of intimacy and how important it is, So I really, throw kudos to her for putting it out there like that. Well, let me ask you this because, you've been in the limelight for quite a while. So, do you think that fame or, has affected your romantic life? And if it has, or if you're in fear that it can, what do you do to keep the sparks, going? What do you do to ensure that, it's always going to be a great time and a great experience with Sybil?
Well, the thing is I was married up until recently. And I think that the thing is the reason why relationships fall apart is because you don't continue doing what you did when you were dating. And I think that one of the things that's critical to being able to continue to have intimate relations and have a very healthy sex life and understand and sensuality in it is to continue to date your mate. Continue to do the things that you did before you said I do, before you just before you got the relationship became really solid. What is it that you did? And that's what, for me, I think that it's critical and important that people tap in to those little nuances, those little things, those little triggers that made that person smile, that made that person want to, hug you in public, wanted to take your hand, wanted to love up on you regardless. And I said when people remember to do that and to do the things that got them in the relationship or got them to the place of the relationship where they felt like they were one or, in simpatico together, connected, then it will make all the difference because it's not about, people can have random, booty calls. Hey, everybody, I don't care who, everybody's had something similar to that, where it was in that they weren't in love, but they were in lust. They were, somebody, served them right. And that's reality. And I don't care, even the saints, the people in the church act like they don't know, but it is what it is. The bottom line is that everyone has experienced a relationship with someone that they weren't in love with. But there was something about them that drew them, So my thing, in order to keep it spicy, you have to understand that you've got to keep adding seasoning. You've got to keep adding flavoring. You've got to keep it. You've got to keep doing those things in order to keep it brewing. If you don't do that, you won't have what you need in order to be sustained. So as a woman who's dating now, what I love is the fact that I have, the men that I come in contact with are interesting. They are interesting to me in so many ways, and they're interesting. And some of them are considerably younger than me, and some of them are my age and or slightly older. Because not being funny, I don't like anything too old. I'm going to be real. And,
me either.
Okay? No. And so,
it's so funny because I'm sorry. It's so funny because I told my husband, I said, "Hey, babe, God forbid anything ever happens. I can see myself being my husband for the rest of my life. So I doubt if anything ever happens. But I told him if anything does, I might be calling Chris Brown up. I'm going to be a self-proclaimed cougar. I put it out there already, so he already know. I said, so don't get pissed off. I come in there with a 21-year-old. They'll be trainable and moldable."
And the thing is, the sad part, I'm going to tell you this. The funny thing is that a lot of people think that when marriages fall apart it's because something was done. My husband is a good man. My ex-husband, he's a good man. He's a good person.
Right.
We disagree. We grew apart. And it was nothing other than that. And I think people need to come to grips with that because I think that what happens a lot of times is that, and one of my girlfriends said, Sybil, another thing is that women make the mistake is that they withhold sex from their relationships. And so, and in my mind, I went there, when you get angry, you shut it down, but that's not healthy. That is so not healthy. Because then that means that a lot of what you think the relationship was predicated on was a physical one and not anything else. And so when you eliminate that or take that out or use that as a tool to cripple, when you know that it was integral, then you've got to bear the brunt of what happens when you do that.
Right. Well, do you think that love? Do you think that love can lead to love, or love can lead to lust? What you think about that? Can somebody start off where it's lust and then it eventually delve into love? Is that reality or?
Yeah, no, I think that that's a possibility because I'm going to say this. The thing is that you don't know. You look at a person, you say, ooh, they're a good-looking person, and you desire them in a way that's lustful. But then you start. You might get with them relatively quickly without really having spent any real time. But then you find yourself spending time, and you start realizing, ooh, this person has a lot of the same kind of characteristics that I'm looking for. This person is intelligent. This person is a go-getter. This person is a family person. This person will make a good mom. This person will make a good wife. So I do believe that lust can that you can be lustful initially, and it can turn into love. But do I think that an ongoing lustful situation, that that's all it is for you, and that's all in your mind that you desire to be, then don't expect don't expect a love situation. You just can't.
Right. Right. Well, know what's the maximum of times that you've done it in a day? And it can be past or present, the same person or different people. But what's the maximum amount of times that you've actually had sex in one day, past or present?
Oh, past. Past, and because it was 60. It was probably about three. It was three, but it was really weird because it was 3 or 4 times in a day. But
wow.
Yeah, because both of us, I had been away, and he had been away, and not away like incarcerated, but we were working. And so we were just so glad to see each other. So it was like, okay, we got it in the morning, kind of chilled out, got it in the afternoon, got it in a little later. So, we had 3 or 4 times, and but it wasn't, the truth be told, you don't really want to do about 3. I did 3 or 4 times back to back. Not possible. You can say you think it's possible, it's not possible. Not if it's
right.
Not if
right.
It's Mm-hmm.
Now, how important is it for you to hear screams, holler, sounds of pleasure? And if you don't hear a guy making some kind of sound, do you feel some kind of way about that? Do it make you try harder?
No. Because the thing is that I think it doesn't. Because the thing, you know what? Because I believe that it varies. I guess it varies. I don't like you too vocal because now I'm thinking, are you just acting? You know what I'm saying? Because your body will tell. Your body tells. Your body will tell. And and that's the thing I like. I like your body to talk, and your mouth doesn't have to say a word. I can hear nice the sounds and stuff, but I don't need you to be talking to me about you the best, this, that, and the other. I don't need all of that. Because I'm gonna do me, and I'm gonna do me. I'm gonna do me to make sure that you're okay too.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm out here and about here, but I have just one more question for you, Sybil. And what is your most intimate, upscale desire? What really is your upscale desire?
Oh gosh, my upscale desire is to be with a man whose chemistry, where there's such a great deal of chemistry that when I look at him and he looks at me, it's like we ready to be about it. Period. And that's it's a hard thing because the thing is you can find people that you're attracted to, but when there's not let me say this, I've had a relationship where there was just crazy chemistry between both of us, and I was too young. I was young. We were younger, and I was in college at the time. I was at one school. He was at another school. But the one thing about it is that when I ran into him years later, there was still this insatiable desire to be with one another, just because we just connect. And so I would love to have that kind of situation where my desire is to be in love with someone who I look at, and they get me, I get them, and we get it in whenever we want. That's what my ultimate desire would be.
I know that's right. That's what I'm talking about. Well, you know what? It has been so much fun talking with you today. I know you got a lot on your plate, so I really do appreciate you taking time to do this interview with me. But I want you to, take the time now to, to go plug your information. To tell us where we can find you, how we can follow you, what your social network is, what's on your schedule, the agenda, how much tickets cost.
Well, we're going to be doing Dynamic Divas, tonight, the 28th of April, in tribute to Whitney Houston. And, of course, I'm going to be doing there's a couple of my songs as well. But we're actually looking to hear a new Sybil project where I'm completing a project that I'm doing with a teen music group out of Charlotte, and we're really excited about the new Sybil project. But you can find me on Facebook. It's funny, you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter. And the funny thing about Twitter is, I love social media, and I think it's a great, 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 great outlet. However, my management team are the ones that have been on me about making sure that I have to be on top of stuff, So I can be found on Facebook, and it's, a couple of my music pages, www.facebook.com/Sybil Sings, and that's my music page. You can find me there. You can also find me at, where's the other one we have? Is www.youtube.com/users/Sybil Sings 2. And that's my YouTube channel, okay?
All right.
So you check me out there, and we will be, and the Twitter, I've got to remember how we got the Twitter set up, but I do have a Twitter account, but I'm going to get better about that. I promise you I am. And I just want you to, what I want everyone to know is that, you know what, love comes in different forms, but you got to be open to it. You got to be receptive to it. You got to be willing. And you've got to let down your guard, because a lot of times women, we have our guards up, and we don't see the man is right there in front of us, and we don't even see him because he doesn't come in the package that we think he should come in. Don't sell yourself short, and don't turn away a good brother because he doesn't come the way that you think he should.
You know what? You have blessed us all today with some insight on relationships, and I think it's awesome. I'm excited. I'm excited about hearing it tonight. Give tribute to Whitney Houston and blessing us all with your voice. Yes. But but right now I want to take.
Got to do it.
I know that's right. Well, I want to take the time to give a shout-out to Nakima Lee. She's the person that made this happen, Upscale Desire. She's the one that dreamed this beautiful dream of getting the desires of our celebrities and putting it on out there for the world. You should make sure you catch one of her shows, too. They're phenomenal, better than live TV. Well, again, I'd like to say miracles and blessings to you, and thank you again. And I'll see you later on today at Soundcheck. I'm gonna bring you some of that great organic healthy coffee, okay?
I love it. Bring it on. Thanks.
I'm going to bring it. All right. See you later.
See you later. Bye-bye.